What up, guys? Your boy Quake, and the 50 Cent and Rick Ross beef has gotten interesting once again, all thanks to Charlemagne and, of course, 50 running his mouth, as well as Rick Ross responding to everything. So Charlemagne was on his podcast, Brilliant Idiots with Andrew Schultz, and talked about how 50 Cent wouldn't let his foot off of Diddy's neck, and talked about how he wanted to buy Revolt TV. And Charlemagne said this made 50 Cent a diabolical genius. So let's play the clip.
And I'm gonna tell you why 50 is literally is a diabolical genius. And he's first of all, you can read 48 Laws of Power and all of that stuff like that. You can read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, but it gotta be in you. 50, he posts Diddy reportedly takes temporary leave as chairman of Revolt amid sexual assault lawsuits. 50 says, I'll buy that from you, Playboy, for the low, because you know Cadillac and AT&T gonna pull out.
Those are the sponsors, I presume?
Yes. I'll give you a few dollars for it now. Sell it to me, then we can be friends. I'm serious. Call my phone. Why do y'all think that was a genius thing to post?
He's basically telling Cadillac and AT&T to pull out?
And telling people who the sponsors are. So if they want to harass Cadillac and AT&T, that'll happen.
And once the money comes out,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap. This guy, man. This guy,
50's not to be
no, don't
50's not to be fucked
with Fifth. Y'all don't even Fifth
play around
different.
if you want to.
With those diabolical comments, though, Rick Ross not only responded to that, but then 50 Cent posted his regular tour videos that he posts, you know, when he's performing at different countries. And in the video, he makes fun of Meek Mill and Rick Ross's collab album, Too Good to Be True, selling only 31,009 copies the first week. So let's play that clip.
When you sell 31,009 CDs, I shouldn't talk to you. I'm out here, yeah. I lay Australia.
Crazy, big dog. Crazy.
They don't know them. I keep asking them about these niggas. They don't know these niggas.
That's funny because Rick Ross and Meek Mill really ain't that global, man. He's right. When he goes out to these different countries, they don't even know who Meek Mill and Rick Ross is. And here's a funny fact about Meek Mill and Rick Ross. Rick Ross's real name is William Roberts, and Meek Mill's real name is Robert Williams. It's literally flipped on these two guys. That is something, when I found that out, was the funniest thing ever. I just wanted to point that out there. But down to 31,009 copies the first week. You know, I broke this down on the podcast of, you know, whether it's a flop or not. You can kind of look at it different ways. The album's actually a pretty good album. I actually enjoy it. It's a pretty good, you know, it was a good effort. But, you know, 50's going to troll him on sales because Ross, throughout various interviews while trying to promote the album, disrespected 50. You know, talked about how his Get Rich or Die Trying movie was trash, and that, you know, he was surprised that anybody even made a movie on 50. And then he talked about in a different interview with Complex of how 50 Cent is broke, and that, you know, we're actually getting money, and, you know, he's not getting money, he's broke, which is obviously furthest thing from the truth. This tour alone has generated hundreds of millions of dollars. I believe they checked the recent data stats on it. In America alone, he cleared like over $100 million. So imagine around the world, he's probably clearing 200 to 300 million once this tour is done. I know he's not going to net all that money, but, you know, he could walk away with at least 50 to 75 million throughout the whole tour. And that's not broke. I don't know. To me, broke is like, you know, not having two pennies to rub together. But, you know, Rick Ross himself has said he's allegedly almost a billionaire. So to him, maybe 50 to 75 million a tour is not a lot of money. But I don't know. I digress. Anyways, Rick Ross responds not only to the sales comment that 50 had, but he also responded to the comments that Charlemagne said about calling him a diabolical genius. And I know why Rick Ross responded to those comments, because Rick Ross has a close relationship with Diddy. At one point, they were so close you would think, you know, they're in a relationship together. That's how close they were at one point. You know, there's a photo out there that I'm going to put on the screen. It's a photo of them really close to each other. Just say that. So let's first play the Rick Ross comments towards Charlemagne's diabolical genius. And then we'll first talk about what diabolical means as a definition, because, you know, basically what Charlemagne is saying is right. But we'll play first Rick Ross comments on the diabolical genius. Rose? And
something else I seen that I thought was actually kind of cute. Charlemagne referred to 50 Cent as a diabolical genius. And me, you know, thinking the way I think of Charlemagne, he would know better than that. A diabolical genius doesn't file foreclosure, doesn't file bankruptcy, it's not a diabolical genius. A diabolical genius for my next generation of young bosses. They buying Delta. They buying the Miami Heat. They making big boy moves. Cracking jokes on somebody don't make you diabolical, because if that's made you diabolical, I would be diabolical for calling DJ MVD pickle paddle pickle. That shit ain't diabolical. Nigga just having a little fun. Get to the money. Did money make you diabolical? That's what make you diabolical, Charlemagne. Stop dick riding.
So, you know, I know Rick Ross has a little bit of issue knowing the definition of words, so I decided to go to the actual, you know, English dictionary to break down what diabolical genius means as its pure definition. This is what it means. Very evil, but often intelligent. I mean, come on, man. That's the reality of the situation. 50 can be very evil, but he's intelligent in his evil. That's what makes you a diabolical genius. Not getting money and stacking it up to the sky, like Rick Ross says. What's funny about Rick Ross making fun of the bankruptcy stuff is a lot of business people have filed bankruptcy. And there's two different chapters of bankruptcy. There's Chapter 11 and Chapter 7. Chapter 7 means you're actually broke. You have no money. You file bankruptcy to get off all your debts, and you're broke. You have no money. You have nothing. Chapter 11 just means you're restructuring your finances. It does not mean you're broke. And 50 filed for Chapter 11. It's a way to avoid paying certain debts that 50 had that he felt he didn't feel like he wanted to owe. So instead, you restructure your finances and you pay a lot less in your debts than versus, you know, not filing at all. Because he had issues with the headphone company, SMS Audio. He had the Rick Ross baby mama lawsuit. And then he sued his old lawyers for failing the lawsuit in the, I believe, the SMS Audio headphone thing. Because he was having a lawsuit with Sleek Audio, which is the one before he initially had. And then, yeah, they had issues of copyright and saying he stole the idea, blah, blah, blah. So he filed Chapter 11, not Chapter 7. And Rick Ross says, you know, oh, 50's broke, and this and that. But everybody knows he's not. You know, the reality of the situation is if you're smart, you know how to avoid people taking your money. That's just the reality of the situation. Or hide your money, if you don't want to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy. There's a lot of ways to do it. The Game has literally been sued by the girl of, for assault a long time ago. I believe to the tune of like $7 to $9 million or something. And she still hasn't gotten a lot of that money yet because Game is moving his money different places and different names. It's not all under his name. So you could do it that way. You could file Chapter 11. You can do it lots of different ways. But, yeah, so Rick Ross saying that just makes absolutely no sense. Doesn't understand the definition of diabolical genius. Now, this is all in regards of defending Diddy. That's the hilarious thing of this. Rick Ross and Diddy, when Rick Ross had beef with 50, and this is another reason why 50 doesn't like Diddy. When Rick Ross had beef with 50 early on, Diddy started getting involved more in Rick Ross's career and pumping him up as the next Biggie. During like 2010, 2011, remember he was on the Diddy album, Hello, Good Morning, and they were doing records here and there, and Diddy was like, he's the next Biggie, he's my Biggie of 2010s, and all this stuff just hyping him up, which is another reason why 50 probably doesn't like Diddy at all. But, Rick Ross and Diddy were really close together. And here's the funny thing, and this is 50 actually reiterated this. I said this on Twitter one day earlier, and 50 just posted about it today. Diddy and Rick Ross both have, allegations against them or condone certain things. I can't say the R word, but you guys know what I'm talking about when you do something to a woman or a guy without their consent. You guys know what I'm talking about. The R word. They both in some ways condone that. If you guys don't believe me on the Rick Ross thing, let me take you back to the lyrics of the Rocco song, You Ain't Even Know It. Let me read the bars for you guys. This is what Rick Ross said out of his mouth and felt this was okay to say on a song. Think about this. Any regular person would have been like, that's pretty messed up to say on a track. But him, Rick Ross, like, who cares? This is what I do. That's the thing. In some of this music, you'll hear the truth of some of these artists, of how they really are with women or people or whatever the case may be. Sometimes they'll slip out of their mouth and they'll try to pass it off as an art form. But let's read these lyrics that Rick Ross spit a while ago, and 50 reposted it as well. And this is what I said in my thing. But this is lyrics off the "You Ain't Even Know It" track. Put Molly on her champagne, she ain't even know it. I took her home and I enjoyed that. She ain't even know it. Come on, man. Like that alone tells you birds of a feather flock together. I don't know where that quote fucking came from, but that guy's a genius, or that woman's a genius. Whoever made that quote up, birds of a feather flock together, Rick Ross and Diddy. Come on, man. Come on. Diddy's getting accused of all these things. I wouldn't be surprised in the future if Rick Ross gets accused of all these things. Put Molly all in her champagne. That's some Bill Cosby stuff. She ain't even know. I took her home and I enjoyed that. She ain't even know it. Come on, man. Yeah. Diddy's Ross is just defending his boyfriend Diddy. So that's all that this is about. And then Rick Ross responds to the sales, 50 clowning him for the sales.
Just got a DM say, Rose, we believe 50 Cent just made a comment about you online. I seen it and I said to myself, y'all don't know 50 Cent like I do. He wouldn't do that. For one, his bitch dream chasers. She been a dream chaser bitch for many years, still is. That's when she told me I was her favorite. For two, nigga, we been rich. We still getting money. Them niggas was laughing at my first week sales. They was doing $1 million the first week, and I did 150, 180, and they was laughing. But you smell that salt water, right? I let them niggas trick you. Biggest.
Yeah. This is a person who can't find ways to respond to the clowning of his sales. He just refers back to money and says that 50's broke and I'm rich and that's it. Like, Rick Ross has had only one platinum album in his career, and it took streaming for him to get that platinum album, and it was his debut album. Everything else has gone gold, which is only 500,000 sold. So if we're talking like music career-wise, 50 washed him. Everybody knows that. I think anybody with any type of brain will realize that. But people argue, oh, Rick Ross's catalog is better. Rick Ross's music is, just more, he just has better music. Man, that's an opinion-based thing. We're just looking at numbers here. You can argue that all day you want. I disagree, obviously, but, Rick Ross has great songs. He can deliver some great albums. I do admit that. There's a lot of albums I enjoy from him. God Forgives, I Don't is one of them. Teflon Don as well. I do enjoy his debut album, Port of Miami. There's tracks that I enjoy from, like, Aston Martin Music. Lots of records, man. There's a lot of stuff that I enjoy from him, but that's just an opinion-based thing. But overall, that's all Rick Ross resorts to, is calling 50 broke and not acknowledging the fact that his album flopped and that he's not relevant anymore, that if you have to go on a promo run tour and constantly mention 50's name in hopes that 50 responds to you by directly tagging you so your sales could potentially go up, then just shows you lost. 50 won that battle and won the war. That's just the reality of the situation. I think anybody who looks at it differently is not looking at it from the point of sales, figure, status, everything. 50 is just bigger in everything. You can point everything from music to status to sales to impact to all this stuff. I have yet to hear a new artist say he was influenced by Rick Ross. I haven't heard. If you could send me a clip, I would love to find one artist that said, hey, some of my favorite rappers coming up is Rick Ross. I heard a lot say 50 Cent. A lot. Hell, we had a 50 Cent 2.0 copy with Pop Smoke. We had literally a new 2020 version of 50 Cent in Pop Smoke. Like, that's who, we had a carbon copy of it. That's how influential 50 was. Let me know what you guys think, man. Rick Ross coming to Diddy's defense, attacking Charlemagne and 50. 50 clowning his sales. Charlemagne saying what he said. Let me know what you guys think. I do think it's interesting. It's still gonna. This beef is never going to end. It's gonna be Ja Rule and Rick Ross that 50 never squashes the beef with. Everybody else, I can see him eventually squashing it. Even with Game, he's had his kind of moments where he squashed it and was cool with it. But Ja Rule will never happen because that's just straight street stuff that, like, and the Rick Ross and 50 thing just got too personal at one point. 50 was taking, his baby mama and his kids out and all this stuff. And there was even some chain snatching. You guys know the whole story. I'll do a remastered version of 50 versus Rick Ross in the future as well, because that's badly needed. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll keep you guys posted if anything else changes. That's it for today's video. If you guys want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/diverse mentality. For just $3 a month, you can get my videos uncut and raw the way I intended them to be, but couldn't because of YouTube. Plus, you also get access to our Discord community, where we have a great community talking about hip-hop and various other things. It's very dope. So only $3 a month. I'd really appreciate the support. Also follow us on social media at QuakeGW and at Diverse Mentality. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.